Welcome to the Retail Reality Show.
So welcome to our last session for today in this amazing setup at Parasol Island, powered by LIGANOVA. With me is my beautiful co-host Yael. Hello Yael, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. How was your session?
I'm enjoying Düsseldorf.
Yeah. How was EuroShop?
EuroShop was good. It's overwhelming. There are 17 different halls filled with technology, anything from the most advanced AI and human robots, and all the way to a complete booth that only sells mutes for digital screens at stores. And I'm like, are you selling the screens as well? And they're like, no, we're just selling the mutes. But they're very reliable and they're very trustworthy.
What is a mute? Maybe you can explain for the audience.
Just a stand,
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what they sell. And they have a huge booth, 20 meters, just to sell that. And the guy can talk for half an hour about how reliable those mutes are.
Wow.
Yes. So, that's EuroShop.
I talked to a guy at Pudu, and he talked for half an hour how reliable his robots are. So pretty impressive. If you have time tomorrow, go to Pudu. So pretty impressive what robotic technology in the future paired with agentic AI can do. But today it's not about robotics. It's about a very important topic, and we have an important guest. Thank you for following our invitation, Dario Cardamone from Guess.
Yeah.
Warm welcome to Dario.
Thank you, everybody.
So Dario has built his entire 15-year career inside Guess, rising from local marketing roles to VP Global Marketing at Guess. I'm very proud and also humbled because I was able to work with him over the last couple of years, and I don't know how many people who understand brand building how he does. In 2025, he led one of the most debated AI campaigns, AI-generated Vogue campaign, maybe you've heard of it, pushing generative AI into high fashion territory. And at the same time, he also launched something very important, CRM. Probably in the AI age, nobody talks about CRM anymore, and the human connection and let's say the technology foundation. But Dario launched Guess Elite very recently, the Guess loyalty program. Dario, welcome, and thank you for joining us. When I researched, and obviously we know each other for a very long time, I did a research and I used all the chat platforms out there, ChatGPT and Gemini, and which I didn't know, I came across Glacier 3000, and I was pretty impressed. Can you maybe give us a quick head start what Glacier 3000 is and what it's like to put a brand in an altitude of 3,000 meters on top of a mountain?
Yeah, that's, one of the few things that we've been working in the last years, and I think it's kind of connected to all the discussion that you guys had also in the previous episode. So how much we can bring reality and, connecting our consumer and our potential clients into something which is real, and also leveraging, as you mentioned, in your introduction, AI and all the technology that nowadays are available and accessible for everybody. So again, if you look at the two things and you just try to image, we build a fashion show in a bridge, 3,000 meters, with real model, with real people, with real guests, and we broadcasted. And at the same time, we were launching our first, let's say, AI campaign with the model entirely generated by technology. And there was a very, again, disruptive, and everybody reached us out to say, okay, why you did that and you did also the other thing. So it can sound pretty disconnected as a brand strategy, but again, Guess it's a very, let's say, entrepreneur-driven company where we love to try things, right? So there is not so much sometimes explanation. It's just, we want to try to challenge ourselves every day and see what potentially the customer and people are looking for. And again, the things that we did through, again, AI has been really, at the beginning, a kind of, let's say, bad store, to say it in other words. And it was we were reached out by all the press and the media. Oh, what did you do? Guess is the one that launched Claudia Schiffer and Naomi Campbell and Alicia Casta. And again, now you're just, reinventing the beauty of a beautiful, let's say, woman with like a technology, and we say, okay, we didn't think so much before doing that. Say, okay, why not? Everybody now is trying to do something new, and we did it. It doesn't mean that gas is like moving and shifting, the strategy towards that. But nowadays, back to my point, you need to try things to understand what the impact can be. And by the way, that was like probably the best, let's say, earned media value we'd ever had in the last 10 years. So,
I can imagine.
And it was like, the traffic on the website was crazy, and even ROI, for once, my CFO was happy about something. So I did. And it was not like intentional. So,
Before we go into the campaign direction, I would like to maybe unpeel a little bit this AI component, because today we talked a lot about, also with Vasilis, about generative AI in a service environment where you remote sell with it. If you unpeel it a little bit in the context of marketing, everybody would say and nod if I say AI is changing the shape of marketing. Everybody would not. But if we maybe be a little bit more specific, is it Gen AI? Is it predictive AI? Is it agentic AI? All of the above? Maybe can you go a little bit more into detail on your how it's actually changing?
Yeah, I mean, the previous guests, they mentioned a lot how much like, it's all not about what you can, let's say, generate, which is like probably what the majority of us do like on a daily things, but it's really like to embed like the process and the technology within like, our daily operation. And even if it doesn't sound so sexy as a marketeer, but that's something that to me nowadays is really changing and transforming, in my specific case, my department and my company and my colleagues, is how much like we can embrace something that can first get rid of like, things and tasks that probably were taking so much time, very easy.
Like content production.
Yeah, content production. And also like, there are like certain things that even like double checking, information and data, it's something the marketing does. And, before was taking like, maybe 10 minutes, now it's taking 20 seconds. So when you put and you sum up all of those, you really like, without even realizing, you're transforming, by doing your entire way of working, which is, again, pretty awesome in a way, even if it's not sizable, even if it's something that you don't pay attention every day. I mean, before everybody was raising hands, and I'm sure adoption-wise, it's impressive. When we launched our campaign in EI, it was like 1 year ago. Now the setup is like completely different to what it was 1 year ago. And in a month from now, it's going to be, again, probably different again. And according to that, even like the price of the technology is changing, which is a bad thing for you. So
also that changes.
So Dario, you mentioned that, it was kind of like you wanted to try it out, right? You wanted to see what it was going to do, but you must have had a goal, right? You must have had some KPI that you were aiming for, and I'm just curious to see if the AI campaign was serving that purpose and the goal that you set out to impact.
Yeah, there was like a practical things. I mean, our founder has been always like very, again, ambitious and also like a visionary in everything that he has been doing like for 45 years, which is like since when the company was born. And in that specific moment, he was more paying attention on like the creation. We were like more looking at, okay, let's see if like how long it's gonna take to create a campaign that can really serve like the global scope, and without going to Capri, without going to beautiful places, without again scouting 10 models, without creating so much complexity in operation, and doing something and then just size it. Okay, I can reach more or less the same
result with less effort.
Yeah, that was like a KPI, but then. Again, the component of fashion. I mean, people before me, they were saying it's about like, humanity is about like feeling. It's about why am I getting in the store and shop something? It's not only about like a transactional things. Okay.
Right. It's about the feeling and the emotion, like Annie said before.
And personally speaking, probably that was like something we did, and probably something that maybe we are not gonna do again. So again, that's a little bit like also. As a brand, you need to understand what you stand for and what's like your values are, and that's also something that you need to reflect a bit and interpret it in the best way.
Right, but you had kind of like a first mover advantage, right? You were one of the pioneers to really create an entire campaign generated by AI. But if we look at the future, 5 years from today, all the brands are using, synthetic models created by generative AI. Where is the competitive advantage? That like if everyone is using synthetic models that can be amazing, the best that any person has ever dreamed of, how can we really measure the impact of the campaign for the brand?
Yeah, that's I don't know how many.
Do you have a crystal ball?
Yeah, how many $1 million question, but I can give you my my feeling about it is that for sure there will be probably in I don't know, maybe medium term, a sort of rebounds just to again say and let the people understand, okay, am I good to look and knowing that those campaigns, those content are 100% synthetic or they're not real? Is it like a good thing for the brand? Is maybe good for some kind of market? Maybe it's perfect for food, but maybe it's not for fashion. Maybe it's very good for automotive. It's not good for another, let's say, type of business. For sure, I believe that there might be something that people were pay attention and maybe say, you know what, I prefer to buy somebody who's like a really, using real models and real pictures. So that's something that everybody, I guess, in the room is try to understand and try to predict, because again, nobody has the crystal ball, as you said, but I'm pretty sure that everybody's thinking a little bit about that. And to connect, maybe similar example, nowadays all the platforms are pretty seen as a very, let's say, trustable, let's say, true of information. Okay, so you go on ChatGPT and Perplexity, and everything that comes out from that you trust 100%. Okay, oh, it's there. I want to look for an amazing trip in Ibiza, and the information that comes up is okay, it's good. It's Perplexity.
And then you fly there, and it's a desert.
It's closed.
Yeah, maybe yeah, but it's reliable, let's say. But now we know that we're hearing that everybody's starting embedding, of course, advertising and promoting and changing a little bit the way of searching. And we're going to experience very soon, which is happening already, once that component is there, how our opinion is going to change about what the search results are going to look like, because it's going to be, the magic AD. Then, the people will start understand, okay, maybe ChatGPT is another Google, let's say, page. And that's a little bit what is going to happen. It's happening already.
That's interesting.
Real models could become luxury, right? I mean, maybe the standard will be that we're doing generative AI-based campaigns, but if you want to really introduce a new collection, something that's really big, then we pay the extra money to get a real model.
Yeah. What I can see, and I fully copy, because all those platforms, they do everything they can to gain the trust of a user. But all of a sudden, there's advertising introduced. And this will be an interesting thing. Nobody knows probably right now. From my perspective, to the other point you said, I can say from a tech perspective, for a few years now, many companies tried out and they valued and appreciate, let's say, the generative element, which is also, it's probabilistic, not deterministic. So if you ask a question, you get never the same answer. It always sounds a little bit different, maybe a little bit left, a little bit right, a little bit more color, less color. What I can see now from a tech perspective is that more determinism is coming to the mix. Because Vasilis said it earlier, there's a process, and that process is a business process, and you can't deviate because you're in a corporate environment. Like marketing, you have guardrails. You can't say certain words. You have a brand guideline, and you need determinism paired with, let's say, probabilistic models, like OpenAI, Gemini, all of them, to let's say, get the maximum out of it. But I have a different question from a very different angle, because if we zoom out, and Yael asked a lot about this campaign now that you launched, it was always, and also the examples earlier with Vasilis, someone is in the middle, it's a human in the loop, and they're gatekeeping. They control what's going out. They're supported by AI, they get faster to the answer because they have pre-described text. If we look at agentic AI, agentic AI by design is autonomous. Yeah, you just give a goal, and then autonomous does it. So a goal could be send out a campaign to my VIP customers to maximize conversion, and then you have to trust the AI. My question would be, is a domain like marketing ready for such a thing where, let's say, so much is on stake? I
think partially it could be ready for certain kind of things. Like if I look at like campaign management, like a very transactional and like performance driven. That's something that I would say that we're like beyond already. So probably it's going to be way better to run something like that rather than again try to understand what the best logic can be and determine if like your campaign can be packaged in a better way, right? Of course, you need like a pretty strong like prompting or like algorithm behind, but that's to me no brainer. There are other things where I struggle to see like something plug and play because we mentioned before we want to launch a new product collection tomorrow. I need to understand so many more things what I would do and drive rather than let the machine deciding certain things. Okay, so that's at least to me like how I would approach and separate the two words within my marketing area.
Okay. So obviously AI is great, right? It can help you save costs, it can help you save time, but it also has, let's call it dark sides, right? As a brand, you want people to be connected with your brand. You want people, actual human people to be coming to your stores, coming to your website. And we're seeing more and more traffic coming to websites from chatbots. Are you already feeling that? And how is that impacting your strategy?
Yeah, nowadays, traffic is a challenge, I think, for all business. I think we experienced, 21, 22, where like there was like, a boom on the online and then people really starting to go to the store. But, in fashion in general, so today is like, it's probably the big thing. So if technology and chatbots and other things can be enablers to help that things, they're more than welcome. We do see, and we have some, let's say, pilot that we're testing, and always like not very easy to size and to measure like in short period of time, but it's definitely one of the areas that we're looking for.
Do you see a difference in behavior, in conversion rates?
Not that much so far. So I would say that there are like certain kind of things in terms of quality. If you drive like pretty good like the machine, you can get like probably better quality of traffic. But again, early to say.
I read I think there's one of the first papers out there on GEO, generative AI, generative engine optimization, which is contrasting SEO, search engine optimization. And there are a few things you can remember. Yeah? Be honest, be truthful, don't be bullet, write something in the question of an answer, because there will always be a question and then an answer, which the large language model picks up easier. I wonder, maybe not sure if you have an answer, how would you explain a brand to such a model? Because in the end, you make a decision based on functional questions, like fabric, quality, sizing. But in the end, it's also the brand DNA of Guess, right? You said it earlier that you have to tell this large language model.
You guys made me like pretty challenging questions. So
yeah, that's what we're here for.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah, joking.
It's called the retail reality show.
Yeah, that's like the reality thing. I wish I could have like an agent like now, so to support. No, I mean the thing is like again, we said that I've been working like for almost like 18 years in a company where like the brand is like at the center of everything we do. There is no question. I mean, the brand has been built 45 years ago, has been built through like real people, real things, real product, real image, and I was lucky also to be able to work with the entrepreneur, which is like still in the company, and the second generation who is still in the company, and that things is so strong, which is really hard to explain. Okay, so decisions are driven by that, let's say, our bit, which is like
like the core of the brand.
Is the core, no question. Then again, you have like, of course, the world is like moving as it's moving so fast. You need to plug and embed things within your, let's say, reality, and making sure that you are not like, sleeping and just dreaming that everything could happen again like it happened like, 20 and 30 years ago. So that's to me like the way to look at, again, in this case, AI, technology, the chatbot, everything that we mentioned. That's something that has to be kind of like supportive, like what the vision of the brand is.
I want to ask a follow-up question on that. So obviously we know that a lot of the behavior of the consumers is changing, right? Especially if I look at my kids, they don't go to Google to search for anything. They go to ChatGPT, they go to Gemini, right? And they ask questions and they get answers. So they get the answers on the spot. They don't even go to the brand website. How is the role of marketing changing when discovery is moving from your own brand, where you can control the entire experience, to a third-party chat engine or AI agent?
I think like the answer is very straightforward in this case. Like we need to keep challenge ourselves and seeking and looking for those solutions, small, big, startup, pilot, POC, no matter what, where those people and those consumers are. So in the last few days, we were looking at like, a few solutions that when you open like, their website and they pitch you commercially, the structure is not there, but the idea is pretty good. So you need to see, okay, if the idea is good, let's see if maybe, some more like a structured tech company can embrace that solution and then, drive not only like, 10 consumers a day, but like 1,000 consumers a day. So again, understanding how the behavior is changing is like vital to make sure that we pick not only the right technology, but we pick the technology that the people are going to use in the future with like a larger scale.
Good. I think we are approaching the end of our amazing podcast and the event. And we always ask one final question, but I got inspired by Robert from LIGANOVA by so much creativity that I want to change it. So, and I have to quickly explain it. So, obviously, you have been 15 years with the company. You have the luck that you work with a founder who is still in the company. And obviously, your role changed a lot now as a marketing lead. Probably and tell me if I'm wrong, you're part CMO, you're part technologist, you're part data
advisor,
scientist, you're advisor to the founder. What would be your advice, not to your CEO, because you know how these founders are. Sometimes it's hard to give advice. What would be the advice to a future CMO who is in university today? How to prepare for a marketing job in 2026? Yeah. What would be the skills necessary?
I wish you could not have changed the question, but so
you can play with it.
No, so I think like I mean, of course, I meet like many like 20 and younger like people like on a weekly basis. So definitely like not losing and try to protect that human component and that, let's say, feeling perception. We talk a lot today about like how much is important to get this sort of interaction, which is pretty complicated for the new generation, but is coming back and will come back. So that piece to me is like the things that has to be protected as a marketeer of the future. And then, of course, they do have like a big advantage that I didn't have, that they live and they are going to live like with such, capabilities that we had to learn and they're going to probably, grow up with. So I think if they're smart enough to keep and protect the first piece, for them it's going to be even stronger to become like leaders of the future with that type of, let's say, vision. So
says Dario Cardamone of Guess. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very insightful session and a warm round of applause for Dario. Thank you. Where's Nicholas? Okay, so I think we are at the end of our... Nicholas is absent. Please come back just to say goodbye to our amazing audience.
And thank you, Dario.
Thank you, Dario, very much
having me.
For the open and insights that you gave us. You can use that one if you want. Great. Yeah, thank you for spending roughly 1.5 hours with us after a busy EuroShop day. I really enjoyed it. I like the setup. I like the proximity of people and
we hope that you learned something today that you can take with you to your...
Did you learn something?
Yes.
Cool.
And who feels beautiful? Everyone, obviously.
Everyone, that's the right answer.
Maybe we're all generated by AI and that's why we're so beautiful. But we have 6 fingers.
Yeah. So, apart from hallucinations, that's a couple of things. First of all, thanks again, LIGANOVA, Parasol Island. This location is fantastic. The cooperation with you guys, LIGANOVA, has been, now it's becoming a tradition, and it's so much fun to do this with you. And it's always great conversation, it's good people, and it's always meaningful in a good way, because we are engaging in human-to-human contact. Even if we're creating something that people afterwards consume in their cars or in their showers or wherever they have Spotify, that is actually, these events mean a lot to us. This is also what we are. As we said in the beginning, this is for us, this is also a way of communicating with people in the industry, trying to find out what you guys are thinking right now about the topics that we feel are important. And it's very nice that you give us the chance to also, well, showcase that with your clients in your environment, and we're very, very grateful for that. So give a great hand of applause to
Yourself.
LIGANOVA and Parcel Island.
And if you have a retail story to tell, a really retail reality story to tell, let us know, and we'll be happy to have you on our next show.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay, with that, I think.
And the event is not, as you said, the event comes to an end. It doesn't.
No,
But
actually,
there's
yeah.
food, there's lots of drinks, so people can get reasonably tipsy. It's still a work event, so please be safe, everyone.
Yeah.
If you want to follow us, there is a website.
Especially if you want to drive.
We invested 17 euros a year into a domain called rrs.show, which is retailrealityshow.show. Don't I know.
Don't judge us. We were drunk.
Yeah,
still.
and if you like us, just leave us a thumbs up or a star rating. I think that helps us to amplify our voice. And with that, thank you and enjoy the rest of the evening.
Thank you, everyone.
Welcome to the Retail Reality Show.